Initial surprise. There was an element or a feeling. I had a little bit of a feeling that that it might happen at some stage. But whenever it does, when you find out that you're going to be made redundant from an organisation that I've been with for around 10 years, obviously a little bit of a shock. I tend to look at things in a very positive way, though. So whilst it was a shock, I sort of immediately saw that this was potentially going to open up opportunities for me moving forwards. After the initial surprise, I put a little bit of thought into some of the things that I could do next. One option I had was to probably set up on my own. Another option that I had was obviously to seek similar employment. I had a few concerns. I was just approaching 50 at the time that I was made redundant. You hear a lot of stories about people that have reached the age of 50 that they're potentially on the scrap heap. I personally didn't feel that was on the scrap heap, but I felt that there are less and less perhaps opportunities for people as they get to that sort of 50 plus age. But the initial steps that I put in place, aside from making sure that my CV was absolutely up to date and absolutely polished, the most immediate thing I did was contact my network. I've built up over the years quite a few contacts across the industry that I work in. So it was a question of identifying the key people in that network who I felt would probably be able to help locate a position that was potentially suitable for me. So I immediately contacted those by email and by telephone, and then sat back a little bit to see what happened next. As a direct result of soliciting my network, I received a number of email responses from some ex-colleagues that were working either within other companies or perhaps on the agency side, supplying other companies in the industry that I work. But I got a number of responses quite quickly. One particular position was very interesting to me. It fitted my skills and my experience very, very well. The position was as an operations director initially with a company supplying data and services back into the industry that I was working within. So I was quite fortunate that I found a position quite quickly that fitted my skills and my experience. Went along for an interview with the owners of the business, and was very successful in securing that position. So for me, whilst it was a little bit daunting when I first found out that I'd been made redundant, within a matter of weeks I'd actually found a position that fitted me, a position that I'm or a company that I'm still with today, and feel that I'm being very successful. Top tips for me, probably the most important one, which is something that everybody should be doing before they're made redundant, is to make sure they maintain a good network within the industry or the sector that they work with. I personally had worked with many people who'd worked for the organisation that I was working within, and then left and gone off to either to form businesses of their own or work in similar roles in different organisations. So maintaining that network is probably the number one tip that I would give to anybody. But then at the point that I was made redundant, it was very important to me to remain very positive. I've always sort of believed that when one door closes, another one opens. But I think it's very, very important to be positive and be very proactive. It's quite easy to probably phone up a few recruitment agencies and say, well, what could you find for me? that was secondary to me. The first point for me was to contact my network, to solicit my network, to pick up the phone to people, send a few emails to people, ex-colleagues, etc., etc., and see what came from there. Second would have been, for me, would have been then to look at what positions were being advertised, and speak to a few recruitment agencies. I think the other tip that I would give anybody though, and it was very important for me, working in quite a niche sector, was to really understand my skills and my strengths and perhaps my weaknesses as well. Not just from the most recent role that I had, but what could I call on from previous positions I had held throughout my career. And so that I personally really understood what my strengths were, out of those sort of out of the skills and experience that I had, what could be possibly transferable to other industries as well. So I wasn't limiting myself when I was looking for other positions to something that was quite as niche as the role that I had, but I was more looking at what I had to offer overall in terms of my wider experience.